Thank you for doing this. Really appreciate it.
No, I look forward to it because I'm, obviously a massive admirer of
Oh,
your
thank you.
work.
And your work.
Well, particularly the first two Illuminating albums. And I mean, I said I put a couple of tracks on there, The Blackies of Space, which reminds me, that's how I feel about Tainted Love. It's go away. I said one of my favorite albums, electronic albums, between Autobahn and Travelogue. Possibly my two favorite electronic albums of all time.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, you can be my PR agent anytime.
I remember seeing you guys the first time I saw them. I think you were playing with Perubu.
Yeah.
The F Club in Leeds. And the F Club was fantastic. I remember a guy called John Keenan. And then I saw Joy Division there. I saw the original Human League with the Perspex Cases, Cabaret Voltaire, Perubu, Throbbing Whistle. That's the first time I saw Throbbing Whistle. It was an absolutely brilliant place.
Wow.
It was when Phil still had his lopsided hair.
Man, yeah. He could only afford to get one side of it cut. That was the thing. Not quite. I wish I had some hair to cut. But anyway. I mean, tell us about, did you meet in Leeds with Marc?
I remember, I originally grew up in Blackpool. Marc came from Southport, and we converged at Leeds Polytechnic doing a fine art course. And Marc was doing a performance art, which I had no idea what the hell that was. And I was just quite good at drawing and painting. So I don't know, but I was also very, after craft work, I'd bought myself, I'd got a Fender Telecaster. I thought I wasn't really good at playing guitar, so I thought I wanted to synthesize that. I'd heard of Autobahn, and I was in Blackpool to see my mum, because he recently widowed, and I saw this second-hand, it was a Korg 800 DV or DV 800, I've heard DV8.
Yeah, DV8, that sounds better, doesn't it?
So I bought that, and they had a little sound room in the street, in the big art room in Leeds, and I used to noodle around, and Marc overheard this and said to me, he came in sort of for have a cup of tea. Do you want to do some sounds for my performance art? Because I never thought of performing. I was just writing these stupid old tunes. And I said, yeah, brilliant, and that's how it started. So really, I was just doing the sort of soundtracks for these weird, mirror fucking sort of performances, and Marc was mirroring himself with cat food, and much to the outrage of some Manchester University students. We did a live show there. So he's always outrageous from the start.
That sounds very similar to kind of my background with the kind of arts youth club we used to go to, where I met Phil. I didn't meet Phil there. I met Phil in my secondary school, but I met Glenn and Ian at a place where we used to do all that weird kind of performance art thing. And it's interesting how the more interesting end of music, the musicians that are more self-taught, more kind of broader interests, tend to come out with the more interesting stuff. I mean, I've never had a music lesson in my life.
So, but I think it's like Brian Eno's.
Yeah,
it's like painting with sound, really. And I mean, Eno was an art. A lot of the great musicians come from an art school background, I think, particularly in the UK.
Yeah,
and I was the same. I always, whenever I'm doing music, I always think of sound as colours. Synesthesia sort of thing,
Do you literally have some degree of synesthesia? Do you think?
I think I do, because when I play a sound, I'm thinking of a colour. I remember talking to Martin Rushton, funny enough, who went to produce a band after it changed. And that, saying he always talked about having that horizon when you're doing a mix. You have this horizon, and I kind of sort of knew what he meant. But, you've got the rhythm bit, and there's the stuff that above it, and it's kind of like the way you arrange things. I think that's the same with classical music. There's
Right.
a sort of horizon, you know, that goes there and that goes. You know, I don't know how to explain it.
Do you think that you have do you feel like I know what I think, but I want to know what you think about your talent. Do you think you've always had an innate ability and understanding of how to arrange things? Because
Yes.
I listen to, I DJ that period from time to time, and my influence is earlier than that. And, you know, we all know how popular Tainted Love is, and we all know, but on any system that you play that on, it sounds fantastic. So I think, essentially, that you had it's not just the way it was EQ'd or compressed or whatever it is. It's about understanding how things slot together in sound terms. And do you think you've had that as an ability from a very early stage, working with synthesizers?
I think it's more to do with possibly a lack of ability, and the fact that the minimalism was because it was simplistic. But I think when you know, I've gone through phases where I tried to be a bit clever. I remember when I got to Prophet 5, and it was the first time I got polyphonic synth, and you could play chords on it. And I think in some ways that damaged me a bit until I eventually understood, no, you don't have to. Just because you can play notes with one hand, you don't have to.
Yeah,
exactly. I think my thought sound, well, Tainted Love was still very one finger. I mean, I was using an old Core SB Synthi Bass 100, which I still have. It's a beautiful sound. It's different to the Moog, but it's just like dum, 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 dum. And then we had the sort of nice glacial pads of the Synclavier, so it's a complete opposite. And a Synclavier cost about 120,000.
Oh my God, they were so expensive.
I've never seen that much money in my life. I mean, it was Mike's one, not mine.
All right.
I like the contrast because the Tainted Love we used, it wasn't even an 808, it was a TR-78, which was only a mono output, which would be followed off Marshall Hayne.
I remember Marshall. Dancing in.
Yeah. We followed it off Kit Hayne. It was Mike Nolan. We were in Antivision Studios. And then when we went to New York, because obviously Taken Up the first album, and Mike had probably got, I think he'd been to Manny's music store in New York. I think you've ever went.
I have.
With us, I'm afraid. Most famous music store in New York.
Yeah.
And I think he got the first TR-808 in America.
Right.
So you get all these hip hop guys. There isn't a film about the 808. I think the first record that had an 808 on it in the pop charts in Britain was Bed Sister. That was the first time I ever used an 808.
That is
the drums on that. It's so random.
Yeah, that is a great tune, by the way. Congratulations.
It's like Keith Moon with electronics.
Same with me and the Lindrum, actually. When we
never liked the Lindrums.
You see, I did because I didn't like using real drummers because they're going to keep time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, when we first signed the Phonogram, they wanted us to get a bass guitarist and a drum.
Right.
No, we're a synth duo. They didn't understand the concept of a synth duo.
Yeah.
You know, and then what happened afterwards?
Exactly. So when you perform, I never saw you perform live back in that time. Was it literally just the two of you on stage?
So, yeah, and several tape recorders.
Yeah, yes.
Which was David Girl, like yourselves.
Yeah.
You know, we'd have and I would just do random sort of wild synths and Mark, or not, you know, live, all the vocals was live, of course. And I just play along and, you know, affect things and stuff, so treatments, what have you.
Was it your idea to do the 12-inch of with Where Did Our Love Go? Because that is Go on.
Unfortunately, that's one of the most stupid mistakes of my life. Even though I actually got a nice signed book from the Holland brothers, because I must have made them about £1 million from that, because we had no idea about publishing.
Right.
No one said, the thing was that our management and the publishers didn't say, put your own track on the B-side, but because it worked so well, it's like,
Oh, it's beautiful.
and so we made lots of money for Motown.
But just as a piece of work, let alone that issue, I've got total admiration for it. I mean, it's a great DJ Nipping Off to the Bog record. Cause,
no, it is. Well, my favourite bit, though, is I always quote the Lancaster bomber descending.
Yeah.
Because what he used to, when it goes,
yeah.
And people would, how low can this go? And it was like a Moog ribbon controller hooked up to a Syncavia.
Right.
So it was just like getting, and just literally did it by hand. So he's like, and it goes over about 16 bars.
Yeah, in a night.
I think that's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
That's my favourite bit of that record.
Yeah, mine too, actually, funnily enough. So we,
Backwards.
yeah.
Backwards.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I want to talk about your process, about how you write. I mean, let's start with how you wrote, say, Non-Stop Erotic Cabaret. Did Marc just do the top lines? Did you do all the music? How did it work?
Well, at that time, Marc and I were living in this sort of housing authority place in the dodgy part of it, inner city Leeds. It was on Queen. And I had one room, third floor, and Marc had the next room. They were just like little flats, and I had a couple of little synths and my own mum's old stereo, and I just like write tunes. I mean, I wrote "Sail Away Goodbye," "Bedsitter." Actually, when we were living in a bedsit, really, and then I just give him cassettes. I've just done this one, so I just give him the music, and he had this massive book full of like all these lyric ideas, and obviously, so I was never really actively involved in writing lyrics, and he was never involved in the music, although he would kind of go, I've got an idea for a top like this, or I said, I've got an idea for a title. So, but mostly I do the music and give the music to Marc, and then he would come up with, so Say Lord Goodbye was totally up to Marc. He said, let's try and do something a bit Walker Brothers.
Yeah.
Which is a bit sort of sentimental and bit 60s kind of vibe. And that was Sail Away Goodbye. The Bedsitter was obvious because that's where we lived. So it was kind of, it was all about quite real and fantasy.
Yeah.
It was like the reality and the fantasy. That's kind of what sometimes always been about that kind of reality and escapism and social commentary and where you're at and where you want to be, It's always been that. I mean, the new album, which I'm not allowed to tell you the name of, is very much.
You must tell me the name.
No, you're not getting out of me.
When is it coming? All right, you can tell me when it's coming out.
I was told the other day because we were hoping it was going to come out later this year, but because there's been a massive backlog of people wanting to do vinyl, I think it's now going to come out in 2020. But there will be
2021.
Well, no, we're in 2021, aren't we?
No, you said 2020.
Yeah, we're in
2022. Sorry. God, no, I can't tell anymore. I'm living in 1983, mate.
Too many buttons. So yeah, I think we're in 2021.
Yeah, we are definitely in 2021.
No, you're just inside now. Back into the future. Go for this back.
Good idea. Oh, good name for an album.
Yeah. It's like that's not an album.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. So in 2022, you're going to bring out the album now.
2022.
Yeah.
Did I? I had confusion. It's coming out in 2020.
And are you going to tour it?
I have no idea.
Right. Plain a straight bat.
Well, no, I think we allegedly played our last gig at the O2. I can't.
Right.
I mean, there's people going, "Oh, why do you play?" There's a man guy, I don't know what his name is, who keeps sending emails from Australia. I say, "Why don't you come to Australia?"
Yeah.
Great. I've only been to Australia once with the grid.
Right.
Running journeys. I mean,
Oh, it's horrendous. Honestly, you feel like death, don't you? By the time to get.
We're all flying forever.
Yeah, really. I've got a good story actually. I once went to do a proposal with some colleagues of mine for this big installation in China, and they said, would you come to a meeting to present it to like this big, hall full of experts and stuff. It was for like some architectural biennale or something. Anyway, so they said, "Will you come over and present it to the people there?" And what? Do I get a free trip to China? This is great. So went with them to Shanghai. The only problem was we had to come back the same day.
To China.
To Shanghai.
Did you actually fly to China?
Yeah. I'm not in a. I mean, we were only there for like 6 hours.
Oh my God.
But I'd say Shanghai looked great from what I saw of it, and we didn't.
Like 2 minutes.
Even worse, I didn't get the gig. Oh
no.
Yeah. Anyway, so where were we? We were talking about the process and everything, and how you wrote that album. So tell me about. Did that come out on Some Bizarre? What?
Yes, that was Fivo's label.
Fivo's a nutcase, isn't he? I've met him a few.
Yeah, I know, because the last time I came to your thing at the National Portrait Gallery.
Oh, did you?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Oh, it was good, wasn't it?
Speak to you. I was with a few friends, and suddenly I heard this voice going, "All right, man." Oh no, I'm like, I'm going.
Oh no, it's Fivo. Should be a TV.
It doesn't my head in. He was brilliant at the time. He was like, back in the day, in the early 80s, I mean, he was like the best A&R man in Britain.
Yeah.
We'll always sing his praises. I mean, the Some Bizarre album, he had Depeche Mode, Homage, the Soft Cell. I mean, just to sign those 4 bands was unbelievable. And he ran 17, I think, at the time. I mean, that's incredible A&R man. Wow. If he'd not been such. Well, I don't know. I think his ego and his youthfulness and exuberance and excess of various things, probably got the better of me. I mean, that guy should be a multi-millionaire running a major label.
Yeah.
There's that together, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories like that, aren't there, in the music?
I mean, he's fundamentally a decent bloke, but I think, I don't know, I think it all happened. I mean, it was amazing for us. We were a bit older. But for a 17-year-old to have like this incredible success at that age, and to come from his background, you can remember a tough sort of East End background. So I've got nothing but respect for him.
Yeah.
But I just find him a bit he's just too much to handle, really.
It's a bit like Rusty Egan, isn't it? It's like everything so full on all the time.
I know Rusty pretty well.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I'm still in touch with. I've known Rusty from back in the day. I used to know Steve. I used to get on better. Well, I got on back well with Steve and Rusty. Steve was really funny. He's a lovely guy. I'm sadly missing. He was just cheeky. The last time I saw Steve Strange, Dave, can you lend us 20 quid?
Steve Strange is a lovely guy.
He was amazing. He was a great guy. I mean, he couldn't sing to say.
No,
but Chelsea, but he did all right with his art on one album.
Yeah. I know Rusty's a bit bitter and twisted about that because there's dispute about all that stuff. But anyway, I still love all that. So, I mean, we're not far off the same age, me and you.
No.
Are we? A couple of years in it. So our cultural references are very similar, aren't they? I mean, Bolan, Bowie, Barry, John Barry, and
John Barry, absolutely. I met John Barry.
Did you? How about that?
I met him at Trident Studios. They were doing a Bond. They were doing the demos for a Bond theme, and And so I think I was in Nottingham, the studio with the band, and someone phoned me from the studio said, Dave, John Barry's here with Tim Rice, who reads Coolidge. What was the track she did? I can't remember what it was called. And I said, right, well, on the next train.
Nobody does it better. Is that the one?
No, it's not. I can't remember which track it is. Yeah. It was one of the better ones. It wasn't a Shirley Bassey.
I'll look it up.
But I was always massively. I mean, I think I've got more John Barry records than I've got soul records. I think I've got over 100 albums of John Barry on vinyl, and about another 100 singles, 7-inches, and even stuff he did with Adam Faith and all that sort of stuff, because he worked with so many people.
I love stuff.
Yeah, amazing.
Beautiful. Have you written film soundtracks?
I've only done a couple. I did a German film with Jez P-Orridge for a film called Decoder.
Right.
It was on Fett Film, which was it had Christiana F in it, and William Burroughs was in it. And I gendered it, actually. And that's like a cult classic. And I did another thing for Channel 4, which is called The Investigator, which starred Helen Baxendale. And that was, it was basically a true story and about this woman called, what's her name, Caroline Meehan. And it was about investigating homosexuality in the army. And they were investigating lesbianism or alleged in the armed forces. So I did, suddenly done a massive, I mean, our music's been used, obviously take a look at shoes on everything. So that's been on quite a lot of films, been like La La Land or So they always pick the one you don't want to hear.
Yes, I'm just happy they pick anything, to be honest. But he's called John Barry Prendergast. I didn't know.
Yes, that's his real name. Yeah.
How interesting. What a composer. I mean, I'm obsessed with film.
Oh, genius.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, Ennio Morricone had a big impact on me.
I've seen them both live. I saw John Barry twice. I saw Ennio Morricone when it was his 70th birthday and everybody sang Happy Birthday, Happy Birthday to Ennio, which was quite amazing. But yeah.
I saw him playing in Venice, actually, where he used to live.
A bit posh.
Bit posh, isn't it?
Yeah.
So tell me about your relationship with Marc. I mean, you obviously love each other like brothers.
Of course, I adore him. He's a genius. I mean, his lyrics. The latest album, I'm not going to tell you the name of. The lyrics are, I mean, they are so profound. I mean, they're brilliant, absolutely wonderful. I listen and they make me laugh and just make me cry, but they're just so brilliant. Marc's lyrics have always been, to me, absolutely a godsend. I think some people, I think the BBC only seem to ever play Tainted Love. Something the lyrics scared of his lyrics because they're a bit too real.
Mm.
I think Marc's social commentary is incredible.
I agree. So he dresses it up in an interesting way, doesn't he? So it's kind of not overt, but he's like plain. He has this amazing ability to connect with people, I think.
Well, I always think of when people ask me how does soft sell work, and basically my analogy of it is that I provide the soundtrack and Marc provides the narrative.
Right.
So imagine you're putting a film together. I do the score and Marc does the script. I think that's kind of because a lot of the stuff we do is very filmic and telling a story, and I just try to provide him with a score behind it. I think that works.
Does it ever start from the story and then you write a piece of music to it?
Marc would say a track like Monoculture. I remember I used to have a studio just off Ladbroke Road with a guy called Ingo Roth, this German fellow I used to work with. And Marc came over and we were still messing around with recordings and stuff. And he just came out, he said something Monoculture. I just said, that's a brilliant title. He's like, really? And I said, yeah. And I didn't words. He wrote about the four book loads of lyrics. And he'd always it's like tons of lyrics. I said, maybe you can ease it down a bit. And that became the track Monoculture, which is
Wow.
the fans seem to love that. And I made sure I wrote it in the same key as Memorabilia. So
Yeah.
when we start our set, it goes Memorabilia Monoculture, it's the same tempo.
Yeah.
It's quite a good way to open the set,
So, you're a big fan of Northern Soul, aren't you? Like I am.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you go dancing to any of the bands?
I was never very good, but I was a good listener.
Right.
I can't say. I mean, probably the reason I have problems with my lower back and my hips now
Okay.
is probably from attempted backflips that are probably not very well executed. I suffer. I have to walk in stick sometimes.
Really? Which
I
club?
can't do painkillers because I've been moved to the
Yeah, right. Oh,
codeine phosphate.
oh no.
You need to be eating tins of prunes all day.
So so which clubs did he go to?
I was mostly based in Blackpool, so it was Blackpool Mecca.
Right.
I mean, there was Wigan, I only went there once, or no, twice. And there was a Blackpool casino, so there was loads of Northern Soul was everywhere in Blackpool.
Yeah.
You can imagine. It was mostly the Blackpool Mecca.
Right.
So it was like Ian Levine and Colin.
In Levine, yeah. God.
Yeah, Ian Levine went to my school.
Get
He
away.
was sixth form when I first started, yeah.
A small world. Jesus.
I know, it's amazing. And he had the most amazing collection of Northern Soul.
He used to go to America and pick them up in America, didn't he?
Well, no, because he had rich parents. Because I think they used to own a club called the Lemon Tree Casino in Blackpool. So the posh end of Blackpool, sort of very south part of Blackpool. And so his mum and dad used to go to Miami and stuff.
Really?
He'd come back with like crates of records and stuff. I think even I read a story that they hired a private jet and he couldn't take her off because records. They said you're gonna have to leave some of this behind.
That's a great thing. I did it.
He was an obsessive collector. Though he owned episodes of Doctor Who. I heard this on the radio actually yesterday. I think it was on LBC, and he said that Ian Levine actually had some episodes of Doctor Who because the BBC used to chuck away.
Yeah.
Chuck away the tape.
They went skip to it, yeah.
Or record, so loads of brilliant stuff was lost, and he's got some unscreened episodes of Doctor Who.
Wow.
He's a mad collector apparently. I don't know him personally. I've met him a couple of times, but
yeah. I've met him a couple of times. He's a very interesting guy. I did an art installation in Blackburn about Northern Soul because I wanted, and I have a company that we've got our own immersive 3-dimensional sound system. In fact, this is my studio I'm in at the moment, and
looks very posh where you are. Like.
Oh yeah, but not for the likes of you. Yeah.
I just work in my kitchen nowadays. Drama studios.
No, you know what?
Mac.
I'm, obviously a lot of people do everything in the box nowadays, but I kind of like still having an old-fashioned studio.
Oh no, absolutely, I totally agree. I mean, my favourite new synth. I've got a couple of them. It's the Moog mother. The mothers. They're beautiful.
Really.
Yeah, if you get a couple of those, you just tune it up. It's like a new mini Moog.
Huh?
Beautiful.
Wow.
I do like them. Yeah, they're great.
Anyway, back to Blackburn. I was saying we did this installation in 3-dimensional sound where we made people sit in a circle like an AA meeting, right? And we made them sit
I don't know anything about
that. So my friends tell me, and so they were sat there in this ex Northern Soul club that had been closed for 20 years and not touched. So
wow.
Absolutely beautiful. It's called the Empress Ballroom in the centre of Blackburn. Yeah, beautiful 1930s sprung floor. The real
like Wigan.
Yeah, exactly. And like plaster falling off the walls, and it's still got the original list of beers on the. on the behind the bar with like a shilling for a
Brilliant.
pint of Guinness and stuff. Anyway, so we did this thing, and in 3D sound, we made people sit around listening to the working week of a normal person, and then the idea is it lasts 20 minutes, condensed, and then at the end, it turns into everybody goes to the Northern Soul Club,
Yeah.
and and all the lights come on. This has been completely derelict, this building, remember?
No way.
All the lights come on, everything kicks off, and then real Northern Soul dancers come in. It's like ghosts coming to life. And I did a big Northern Soul compilation and some electronic versions and stuff. It was fucking awesome.
That's always been something I've been fascinated with. Like, I've done quite a few tracks, obviously Tainted Love, What.
Yeah.
We did the night as well, so we've done like quite a few. But it was funny, the last video we did with Soft Cell, we did it in Manchester with the Twisted Wheel.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not the original venue, but they moved it. But the owner, is like really pleased. He's showing me the actual original wheel, and they've still got it. And there was actually a Twisted Wheel.
Oh, really?
And we got loads of the original people that used to go there dancing to this track called Northern Lights, which is like a sort of homage.
Yeah.
So it's sort of Northern Soul. It's like I was growing like doffing our caps a bit.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a smash hit, but it was like it's still a nod, and thank you very much for the music, really.
Yeah, there's still a flourishing Northern Soul scene for the new generation.
I mean, the Under Club. There's a massive Northern Soul. Northern Soul's massive in Japan.
Yeah.
Germany, Japan. It's a global thing now.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a very huge thing. It's massive.
If you ever fancy doing a Northern Soul themed album with electronics, I'd be very interested in doing.
Right. Let me know when.
Well, it'd be fun, right?
Okay, you're on.
Maybe we could write something together that's like kind of like an homage. Yeah, homage to.
Where are you based?
King's Cross.
Oh, you're I'm in Kennington, so
not difficult.
A hop, skip, and a jump.
Do you know what?
Let's do something.
It's a good idea, isn't it? What about
virtual
virtual handshake?
Keep the faith.
Yeah, keep the faith.
Keep the faith.
Yeah. What was I going to say?
That's game on.
Apart from anything else, I'd love to show you the 3D sound system. I think you'd find it fascinating for your.
Is this in your studio?
Yeah.
Oh, wicked.
I'm gonna write it down, and then that's it. You can't get out of it. I'm gonna hunt you down like a.
No, I'm on. I'm game on.
No. I think Floyd did immersive sound, but that was more like
that was quadraphonic.
Quadraphonic, yeah. No, this has got a high. This has got a height axis as well, so you can move things in any direction. It's fucking amazing. I've had me and Vince Clark have had a company for 20 years doing big.
You and Vince Clark?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
We've been.
Working with Andy Bell, funny enough.
Yeah, Andy's a good mate.
We're working with doing some quick stuff, and Andy's over here at the moment, struggling to get back to the States because they've got a massive tour coming up, haven't they?
Yeah, they're all
over Europe.
They're always touring. They only have to do it every 2 years. They've got such a loyal following around the world.
Oh well, I saw the last gig when they played, that in Hammersmith at the eventing. Because they're doing the O2, aren't they? I'm going to the O2. That's later this year. Right. Yeah, they're doing the O2.
I'll have to.
That's the funny thing. The last gig we did was at the O2, and the next shows we might be going to the event of Apollo, and they're doing the O2 this time. So
yeah.
There's possibly some shows, but let's see.
I'll have to tap him up for some free VIP treatment, I think. He owes me. Anyway, no, we've had a company for 20 years called Illustrious, where we've been doing enormous immersive sound installations for public art installations around the world for 20 years.
I never knew that.
Go and have a look. Illustriouscompany.co.uk. have a look. Before you come to the studio, and then you'll know what to look for. So I pushed
Illustrious
.co.uk, yeah, all spelt out like that, yeah. Illustrious company
I'll
spelled.
find it. Illustriouscompany.co.uk.
Yeah. I think you'll
I
like.
never knew anything about that.
Yeah. So then there's I produced their album. I say.
Well, the Erasure one.
Yeah. And
That album.
I've got a very
Well, I've done a remix for them, and Vince just done a remix. Well, both of them did a remix for I think they did Bedsitter. And I did On My Right to do a remix for that, which they seem to like. Well, funny enough, because I've just signed my publisher with Daniel Miller. So I'm now signed with New Songs. I've always loved Dan.
Dan's a great man.
No, I've always wanted to work with him anyway, because obviously he did the first single, the memorabilia, you know.
Yeah.
And he even did the demo of Tainted Love. The first demo was with Daniel Miller.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I've known Daniel for a long time. Yeah, 40 years. So I know you. So, yeah.
Yeah, no.
It is.
Good Lord. So, were you ever on mute? No. Yes?
No. We were some bizarre... Because I think at the time, back in the day, Steve-O wanted to sign Depeche and Soft Cell, and Daniel wanted to sign Depeche and Soft Cell. So
right.
I think Daniel made the right choice. It's in terms of money, I think Depeche Mode might have made a few quid more than us.
Yeah, you know, I know what I think. I mean, I think they went too rock for my taste, but I like the purity of your vision, your artistic vision, and Soft Cell's artistic.
No, right.
More.
I think Depeche Mode from the Violator, I think, is brilliant.
Yeah.
I think Old Show was great, produced by Tim Simonon. That was a great album.
Yeah.
So I remember I had a studio in that same yard where East Coast Studios, and that's where they were recording all that stuff with Tim. So yeah, they're an amazing band. Not, I mean, fantastic. They're the biggest electronic band we ever produced.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest electronic band in the world, including Kraftwerk. I think they put it out, sold Kraftwerk.
In terms of sales, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of influence, not, but
yeah,
Kraftwerk is still the
yeah. They're the gods in Asgard, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're not quite there yet.
No.
Never. Okay, let's look at all the people you've worked with. It's really an impressive list of. Genesis P-Orridge. You know, I'm hoping to interview Chris and Cozy, and because I love.
We're doing some work with them at the moment.
Are you? Great. And then you work Virgin Prunes as well. So,
well, it's quite diverse because it goes from Genesis P-Orridge to Kylie Minogue.
I know, and Kylie Minogue.
Well, I like some versions. They're Transgression.
Yes.
Transgression.
Yeah. She's become transgressive as she got older. And then Psychic TV you were part of as well. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I used to play on some of the stuff, and I used to play live occasionally with them. Do a few gigs with them.
What was that?
It was great. It was great because we used to rehearse it. Probably Gristle's old studio in the Death Factory, which was in Martello Street in Hackney.
Right.
So I was just thrilled to be, this is the Death Factory. I was a massive TG fan.
Yeah, right.
I mean, both Mark and I were really influenced by TG because we liked their sort of, subversive, transgressiveness.
Yeah.
The fact that they were dealing with very dodgy subjects, you know, and it's like persuasion and stuff like that. It's like, whoa, this is a bit heavy. Yeah. And that always appealed to us. So, you know, that was great. And I remember tuning Jen's bass guitar. And I said, Jenny, I remember picking it up. He showed me the crystallizer, this box. I was like, what's that? Crystallizer. Plug that bass guitar in, so I picked it up. It's out of tune. I think this is one boy. Yes, that's exactly. He said, "Oh, don't worry, it hasn't been tuned for 10 years since I bought it." So I tuned up his basic. So I was like, I thought possibly the big whistle sound. But as soon as you put it in his mama, it just sounds like TG.
That's like classic joke, innit? It was in tune when I bought it. Yeah. It's that classic joke. It was in tune when I bought it. Yeah.
Well, there's another classic joke actually referring to Jed, bless him, was when he was in Rick Rubin's studio, and he somehow he must have fallen out of the window and broke his arm, and sued Rick Rubin for untold amounts of stuff. And his plea was to the court that I'll never be able to play the bass again. And someone said, "You've never played before anyway."
Oh, will I be able to play the piano, Doctor? He said, that's I couldn't before. Yeah. Yeah. Vicious Pink, tell me about that. Goth electro-pop.
I was only involved with that, but from the very beginning, because Brian and Josie were just two people we knew from Leeds Warehouse.
Right.
And that she was the sort of hot chick, with the mini skirts and the long legs.
Yeah.
And Brian was a good-looking guy. We said, well, we need some backing singers, a bit of atmosphere on stage, and give us some disco whistle. So it was like very gigs were like parties, and with everybody built on the stage, so it's quite mad, And so I said, look, I think I gave the name of Vicious Pink. I don't know where I got it from. So I did a couple of singles. I did My Private Tokyo, because I'd known a guy called David Claridge who he ran a record label called the Mobile Suit Corporation, which did that Ever So Lonely record.
Oh, I really love that record.
That's a great record. He was singing some more kind of ethnically based sort of stuff. Even though Vicious Pink were from England, way. But it's actually, well, My Private Tokyo, so it had to be released and vibe to it. And then I did not a very good version of Je T'aime. Well, then they worked with Mike Mansfield, I think, on New Music. And they never really had big hits. They're sort of fun, following.
Yeah.
But I've been seeing those guys for years.
Really? Okay. So, yeah. Oh, do you know David Sylvian, by the way?
I've never met him. I did the remix for Fripp and Sylvian. So I know Robert Fripp. I worked with Robert Fripp quite a bit.
Right.
They did this track called Darshan, but I've never actually met David Sylvian.
Right, because I'm talking to him at the moment about getting on the podcast. I just wondered if I could use you for leverage.
Oh, no, I see. Oh, no, I don't.
No. He's very kindly said he wants to do it, but he's in a different space, so he's assessing it at the moment. Yeah. He's quite a private person, I think.
I think he is, but I don't. I have no point of contact with him.
No, fine. What was Night Wreckage then?
Night Wreckage was just like a project which was me with a guy who I still work with called Ricardo Mulhall. He's a sort of engineer, musician, very good friend of mine I've known for years. And there was a guy, Terry Neal, who I don't know what's happened to him, and another friend of then Celine Speech. She's like a performance artist, singer, writer, and it was just kind of, it was like a sort of electro-pop, I suppose you call it. And then we did that with a guy called Derek Savage, who used to look after Hazel O'Connor and the Stranglers. He was kind of their manager.
Right.
And he was actually good friends with Martin Rushent.
All right, yeah.
And so that's how Martin Rushent became involved and sort of kind of finessed and made the thing sound like proper,
Yeah.
All the crap bass, and because we were still using Yamaha in those things.
Oh no!
And those things, all you can hear is.
Oh, I hate them.
If you actually listen to it, it's always horrible, murky crap on the bottom end. So he might as well listen to this, and he just go,
yeah,
great for the bottom feeders out of there.
Yeah.
Poof, it suddenly sounds like a record.
Much.
So that was my one time when I got to work with Martin. we did used to have arguments in the studio, but I think in his own words, because I'm always right. Nothing that can be settled without me buying lunch and a large red wine.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though he's supposed to be not drinking.
I see. And the in fact, when I was working with Billy Mackenzie, we used to have arguments like that, and then he'd listen to what I was saying about how to make his record sound a bit better, whilst keeping the essence of it right, and he'd go, "Oh yes, hey Martin, hey, okay, we'll do it my way then, eh?" You know, and not in a nasty way, just like really charming. And I just gave up after a bit. I just said, all right, you can sound like you want to, and I'll just help with a few things. So the Grid, massively successful. I mean, and some amazing productions. I mean, I was just listening to some this morning. I love. I really like Roller Coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Flotation and oh my god, I mean, you know that you really tapped into you were a big steering part of that entire scene at that time, and the way seeing all. I love all that. I mean, how did you get into all that? How did that evolve?
Well, I think it's because I originally met Richard Norris because he was doing the column for the NME. Right. And he'd met Genesis. I think he interviewed Genesis P-Orridge, and they were talking about acid house, and that no one knew what it was, and so they just thought, oh, it must be like psychedelic with samples and stuff, and so they got this little studio in Chiswick and said, I think Richard said to Jen, "Do you know anyone we can get in to play a bit?" And Jen said, "Well, I'm not very bored." So Jen phoned me, said, "Do you want to come down to the studio?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" I just bought, I think, I got my first sampler. It was a Casio F71 with a mighty expanded 2 megabytes. I mean, it's hard to believe. And those discs cost about $60.
I know.
That's ridiculous. And I got an HR16 and the MMTA, the Elise drum machine and sequencer. So I was like, my new toys. And I went down there, did 3 tracks on that. And then Richard, he knew a guy called Martin Almond, who was stuck working at the newly formed East West Records. Remember them?
I do, yeah.
Subsidiary of East West, subsidiary of Warner Brothers, I mean. And then he said, look, do you want to do an album? Just do stuff that's like contemporary and like, we're looking for some new stuff. And that's probably the first Grid album came after that. But it wasn't really very successful. And we got shocked after it because they replaced the MD and Marc Almond got sacked. But Flotation, funny enough, because I think we had the Andy Weatherall mix on that. So it became like this mega IP for the classic.
Yeah, well, it's just beautiful.
And Paul Oakenfold loved it. So the DJs all, I think Paul Oakenfold actually did a version of it. He did a remix of it. So
right.
It's one of those tracks that kind of kicked in,
Yeah. How did Swamp Thing evolve then? Where is that?
Oh, that was when I was living in Marylebone. I've been out for dinner with my girlfriend. We're walking down Marylebone Lane.
I'm living in Marylebone Lane. I've just moved to Marylebone Lane. Right above the Steinway shop.
I know that. I used to live in Bulstrode Street.
Shut up.
Yeah, number 12, Bulstrode Street.
I love it around there. It's beautiful.
There's a night. It was very upmarket now.
Yeah.
But so I was. What is the old Conodon? Is that still there? The Irish pub. What's it called?
The old Conodon. They've changed the name of it now. It's the old Coach Makers Inn or something. But yeah, I was in there yesterday.
Yeah, well, so we were walking past. We'd been for dinner, and I heard this music coming out. There was a live band on, and he was like, "Some of this weird Irish kind of bluegrass." I said, "Let's go in here for a break and listen to this." Because the rhythm of it, and that. But they had a break when they had an interval. I went over to this weird guy with long hair and tinted glasses, like a real stoner, but he's an amazing banjo player. And I just said to him, "Would you be interested in doing something in the studio?" Not to be very kind of like, Who's this guy? And I told him who I was. I said, you get like 300 quid. He's like, his eye is sort of appeared over his glasses. Like, I get paid for it, all right. So he turned up at East Coast Studios. We've got this rhythm track going. I just said, play some generic bluegrass sort of, like Bella Fleck kind of stuff, you know. And we had the sort of rhythm track. And then, I mean, I don't think Richard or the engineer, they were looking at me like I'd gone crazy or something. What, Dave, are you sure about this? And we sold 1 million records. So it was number 1 in Australia. I got to number 3 here, and then went down the ball and back to 3. So we did that records. That was the biggest Sun record.
They're using.
Always considered a bit of a novelty record. So I'm haunted by those 2 records. Tainted Love and the 12th thing. Well, they're the biggest selling ones.
Yeah. Well, you know, when you tap into that general public zeitgeist, it's quite an amazing thing. It's so immensely powerful, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Only happened a couple of times with us, but you know, we
worked with Tina Turner, though.
Yeah, yeah. I meant on our own stuff, but yeah, Let's Stick Together was.
Well, the only human leagues, but those first 2 hours, they just never quite. And then obviously Dare goes.
Yeah. Oh, there's a great album. Martin Ruffy's great. I mean,
that's mostly down to Martin Rush.
Yeah.
He is like the sort of what's his name? That's the 5th Beatle, you know, George Martin.
Yeah.
He's like the human leagues version of George Martin.
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
You know, I still got royalties up there, you believe?
Yeah, that's right. We had me and Ian are still getting 1% each off Dare. Yeah.
That's not bad, is it?
Well, that's for giving them the name, to be fair. So, but we did actually blag silver and gold and platinum discs out of Virgin with our name on it, which we thought was so funny. Anyway,
well, I still think that the best student league album was Travelogue.
Yeah,
I listened to that last night. It's absolutely.
It's a great album.
Amazing.
It is, and most of that was written and recorded in our scuzzy studio in Sheffield, and
brilliant.
on an 8-track Ampex 1-inch.
It sounds brilliant.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Those machines sounded great, but it took about
get the old tech out in the corner.
Exactly.
We've even still got an old Porter studio, and just use the EQ Porter studio. Just use it as a clear outboard.
Really?
Yeah, the EQ sounds amazing.
Is it? I'm gonna.
You won't furnish things up, yeah.
Really?
It's usually in the ascends and stuff. Not to be called, but use it as an EQ.
Right.
4 tracks of really severe EQ.
I love that idea. I'm gonna look at that.
Yeah, honestly, it works.
So people don't realize we're getting close to the end now, but anyway, people don't realize that like the original soft cell period was only like 5 years, wasn't it? Is that right?
The original period, first, we've started in 79, and we went to 84.
Yeah. So
we had a break till about 2000 or something.
Yeah. And then
there's been like 2 17-year gaps.
Amazing.
I know. We have really longer gaps in Kraftwerk. But the new album, I'm not allowed to mention what it's called. Sounds brilliant. I'm very, very pleased.
Are you? Which label is it on?
It's sounding really good. And as long as I can get you an advance copy, I will.
Yeah. We'll
be in touch. We're
going to come to my studio anyway.
Well, I'll have to come over. We'll have to work on this Norns.
I love the idea. You know, I reckon we could really do something.
Well, that could be brilliant.
Out of the ordinary, because that shit never gets stale for me. I listen to those.
Well, they're great. They're great songs.
Yeah, and
great sentiments, and great melodies,
and great grooves as well. And all you really have to do is to translate or parse, I suppose they call it, PARSE. It's like translation between that vernacular of a live band in a studio into like the electronic realm, and you're already winning, aren't you?
I think what you need, the other thing, what Marc Almond did with Amy Winehouse,
Yeah.
that he gave you that authentic sound of the 60s, but still sounded contemporary.
Yeah, it's
Although not that electronic. I think we'll go more electronic, but I like the way that he kind of transcribed that sound that she was really into, obviously, the sort of 60s ballady, sort of Dusty Springfield, the Petula Clark kind of vibe, and brought it up to date. You know, it's just bringing it into a new space, isn't it, really?
Exactly. So are you around in the next few weeks? If I visit my studio? All right, as soon as we get off this, I'll send you an email.
Have you got my email address?
You better not give it out on the air.
I'm not going to give it out now, but I'll get Chris, my manager.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, well, are we done?
Not quite. No, I've got some Daft Smash It. Got some Daft Smash It questions for you. Hold on. Where are they? Everybody gets to answer these. What's your favourite film?
My favourite film is probably The Godfather 1.
Oh, I love it. Oh, the two is pretty
standard. Once Upon a Time in America is another one.
Yeah.
I like all those sort of gangster films. I'm very fascinated by them.
Yeah, me too. Favourite book?
My favourite book is, I think, Diary of a Drug Fiend by Alistair Crowley.
Oh, you're a bit of a dark horse, are you? I can tell. You don't hang out with Genesis P-Orridge for nothing. Favourite TV show?
Favourite TV show?
Old or new?
The Sweeney.
I
do like Sweeney.
Somebody, I asked them.
I don't like modern TV.
No. So I asked this question to, I can't remember who it was now, but they said, Callan. Remember Callan?
That was right. Edward Woodward.
Yeah, Edward Woodward. You are woo-wah. Yeah. Okay. Your favourite other musical artist and composer? Not that you...
John Barry.
John Barry. It's got to be, hasn't it? Visual artist. Come on, you're an artist, aren't you? Okay. I love these short answers. They're great. What's the favourite of your own work?
My favourite work of myself, in terms of music?
Yeah.
Probably the latest album. I can't tell you what it's called.
I think you should just call it. I can't tell you what it's called.
It's my last work.
Yeah. I
can't be retrospective about myself.
Really?
I'm not curating myself.
We're all different.
My favourite album is Reproduction.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Dad.
Well, both of those albums, genius.
No, thank you.
You should do a double album.
Yeah, actually, good idea. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know about this, but we're performing them both.
I know today.
But with M17. It's Phil. I'll put you on the guest list at the Roundhouse in September.
Oh, nice! Brilliant, yeah.
And is M17 performed them because Phil, despite asking him for 7 years, won't do it. And I said, "Look, okay, we'll do it with Glenn."
Tragic. So who's going to be singing then?
Glenn. Glenn will be singing. He's called
17.
Present. Yeah, they won't endorse or take part in it. So, and also they don't really perform those albums anymore. They only do.
I know because I've seen the latest.
Yeah. So I said, look, fuck it. I love those albums.
They're brilliant. They're brilliant musically. And do them instrumentally.
I'm not milking it, by the way, podcast listeners. I'm not putting up signs saying applause here.
We'll be there.
Ambition unfulfilled.
Ambition unfulfilled. Blimey, I don't know. So the #1 album.
Okay.
In the UK.
Okay, fair enough. And finally,
Never done that.
I've never done that, right? I don't know. Have I? Oh, I've done it with Erasure. Yeah. Synth. Your favourite synth? Finally.
My favourite's Prophet 5.
Is it? Oh, that's very direct and straightforward.
Oh, that has always been my favourite synth. No messing.
Just to let you know that I've done about over 50 of these interviews now, and there's only been 2 synths that have been replicated. Everybody else has picked different synths. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I just think it's nobody said Prophet 5 yet.
Well, there we go.
There you go. What an absolute pleasure. You got to send me your email address so we can arrange this demo.
As soon as we finish, I'll get in touch with Chris, and I presume you've been liaising with him.
Yeah.
And then we could come and meet you, and we could talk about this.
Yeah, you've got to come up and hear the 3D sound system anyway.
Well, I'd love to. That'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Cool, man. What an
Absolute
absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll see you very soon. Okay. Bye.
It's a screen.
Yeah. Bye.